Yes, there's no shortage of AI benefiting corporate programs across the industry. In fact, if you walk the trade show floor here at GBTA, everyone has AI plastered onto their booths. I think what's interesting about AI is you're starting to see this term agentic AI starting to be more pervasive. And agentic AI, for those that don't follow, is really this idea that AI is starting to do things that are more complex and be able to answer complex questions. It's able to handle tasks. And often in travel, if you've been in travel for any period of time, you know there are a lot of tasks that are manual that need to be done. And so agentic AI specifically is starting to really percolate in all kinds of areas. At HRS, we're incorporating agentic AI into the corporate procurement process. So traditionally, there's been a lot of back and forth between a buyer and a supplier about how to negotiate. And the process of going back and forth with procurement professionals is starting to be automated. We're using technology that we call HRS Copilot. In fact, we were here at GBTA last year introducing this new technology. And over the last year, we've continued to build on it and add new capabilities. The ability for a travel manager to automate the way in which they manage their program. They do that through automation of communication with their suppliers. They're able to do that with the back and forth, understanding which suppliers to work with. So that process has really taken off over the last year, largely driven by agentic AI. We've also seen agentic AI help people understand really the types of travelers they have in their program. So for a lot of the buyers that are here at this conference, they have thousands of travelers, and everyone's always talking about personalization. But in corporate travel, personalization doesn't work very well. Instead, we find personas work relatively well. And so agentic AI helps us understand what kinds of personas might a corporate travel program have. Either frequent travelers or infrequent travelers or road warriors or those who are staying extended periods of time. And so AI is helping to understand all those types of travelers. There's no shortage of the way agentic AI is helping in corporate travel. Well, I think regardless of the cost of airfare, there's always a tremendous amount of cost pressure for corporate travel managers to reduce their overall spend, whether that's in airfare or whether that's in hotels. If you've been staying in hotels, you've noticed the average daily rate, the ADR, just continues to rise, not just here in North America, but globally. So there's a lot of pressure on corporate travel managers to find ways to save money with hotels. And that's really where HRS can help. We come in and we talk to travel managers about a variety of tactics that they can use, one of which is convergence. And I know that GBTA spends a fair amount of time talking about convergence as a topic. Convergence in general is this idea that there's spending in multiple areas, and if you can bring those together, you can save overall. I think the latest statistic that I saw from GBTA was that in the past, last year, about 50% of the people who manage travel also manage meetings. This year, that number is expected to be 60%. So those basically roll up to the same person. It makes a lot of sense to negotiate those things differently. The reason that hasn't happened though in the past is because often this spending occurs in silos, meaning that the corporate travel spend is typically with the TMC and meeting spend might be somewhere else. But what you're starting to see, and HRS has built technology to help in Copilot, is you can bring these types of spend together in ways you haven't been able to before. You bring in your TMC data, your card data, your data that might come in from perhaps an expense tool, and you can start to merge it, again, using agentic AI in ways that allow travel managers to understand where the opportunities are to save. And this is helping to offset some of that rise in the airfares that you mentioned. Also, we're seeing virtual credit cards start to become much more prevalent in hotel programs. So VCCs, as a term, virtual credit cards, is really taking off, specifically here in the US. At HRS, we have one of the most innovative and we believe cutting edge virtual credit cards in the industry, specifically for hotels. We're 98% acceptance rate to 99% depending on the chain, depending on where in the world this card is being used. These credit cards are being used to not only digitize the invoices, but then ensure that the rate that was booked is the same rate that was charged. And that's then the same rate that is submitted into the expense tool using technology we've built. So we itemize things and submit it into the expense reports on behalf of the travelers. So really cool, interesting technology to help, again, not just save money, but help travelers save time when filing their expenses. The rise of data security, the importance of that, it is such a double-edged sword because it's hard to turn on any kind of news program watching what's happening in general in the marketplace around data security and data breaches. In the travel industry specifically, nearly 80% of travel suppliers report having some type of data breach over the last year. And so while AI is helping us in so many ways, AI is being used by the bad guys to increasingly attack different types of systems. So in the past, those attacks might have happened every couple of weeks. On average now, there's vulnerability attacks trying to happen about every 18 seconds. So it's really important for corporate travel buyers to trust the companies that they're working with and who they're giving their data to. At HRS, we've continued to invest in data security. It's one of our utmost important topics that we talk to customers about. It is a growing component of the request for proposals that we receive. Increasingly, we're dealing with security personnel at companies to talk about IT vulnerabilities and where we can help them solve for problems they've experienced with their travel management companies in the past. So my advice to most corporate travel buyers is to make sure that the companies you're working with, they're investing and spending the right amount of money in these areas. At HRS, we are at booth 1242. We are continuing to invest in this area. We'd be happy to talk to you more about our investments here. And I suspect over the coming year, we'll continue to release more information about what we're doing for corporate customers specifically, and how we're helping to ensure the data stays safe, it stays private, and is exactly where our corporate customers want it to be. Okay. All right. What is your favorite part of going to a GBTA event? It's got to be the people. I mean, that is the essence of what business travel is about, is connecting with people. What's so fun about this event, and has been, I think I've been to about 15 GBTAs, is just getting to see people year after year after year, checking in to see how their kids are growing, to see how their businesses are growing, to see what name they now have on their tag. People are changing businesses, changing roles. People you grew up with have more senior roles. It's just a fun place to connect with people. Of course, it's all about the evening events and it's all about the morning breakfasts, but I just love walking around the trade show floor and seeing who you'll bump into.